What's up, guys? I'll be live over on Twitch tonight, grabbing some gameplays that you'll likely be seeing here in the upcoming videos. But if you want to come hang out, chat, and maybe chill, the link's in the description below. Anyways, though, back to the regular content. We talked about recently Call of Duty 2020 and that proposed time frame that we think that we may be getting a reveal now that we've crossed over into the realms of the latest reveal we've ever seen for a Call of Duty game. Now, while other than a few articles we've talked about and proposed leaks, there hasn't really been much of anything out there in terms of information to gather. We did have, as of recently, a little bit more information from a prominent leaker who came forward with a little bit more detail than what we had before. Today, I want to run down with you what that leaker said and let you know everything you need to, what it may mean, and anything in between. So that's it. As we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular you're really hoping to see return or as a new feature in 2020? And as well, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare, Warzone, and of course, Call of Duty 2020 on a daily basis. But that said, let's get into it. The information that we'll be discussing today comes from the Twitter user Victor__Z. Now, at first glance, if you take a look at his profile, you might not think too much of it. But if you need a little backing on who Victor is, well, he's actually one of the ones that broke most of the information that we had for Modern Warfare early. Similar to this year, we have a reveal inbound at some point, even though we don't know exactly when, but we're seemingly right on the brink of that. We're starting to hear things and from those that have done this in the past. Last year with Modern Warfare, a week and a few days before its official reveal, Victor dropped a ton of information that would later come to be true. As with all things, though, in early development that are a work in progress, some things may have been a little bit off, but others were spot on. When no one else was saying anything about Modern Warfare, Victor was saying things like the following. That one, it's not Modern Warfare 4, which was the big rumor back at that point, and it instead was just simply Modern Warfare. He mentioned that night vision will be an important part of combat, and at that time it was. Night vision was a huge selling point at our pre-reveal briefing in LA last year around that time, when we went out early and saw it, and even so much so up until the point of launch, where it was a big gameplay point at launch, though it's since been kind of dropped except for being seen in a few various modes, but as a sort of niche thing, it no longer has any dedicated NVG playlist on the main menu like it did at launch, and he also was the first to break the gameplay mechanic news about that with night vision, that you wouldn't be able to have the ability to directly ADS, but instead you'd end up using your laser and sort of half aiming. He also is the one that said there would be no zombies, a campaign and characters from that campaign connected not only to Modern Warfare 1, 2, but also 3, though they are not the same directly. He also mentioned that weapon accessories would be rich, which was another huge selling point when we learned about the gunsmith. Victor also stated the release of the game was going to be in October. He broke the news that there was going to be no minimap in the game, a feature that was met with much resistance and has since been slightly altered to have a passive minimap, but still with no fire red dots unless you're in ground war. But if you remember back at the reveal back in June and also then in the beta, there was no minimap to begin with, and that was something that was met with a bunch of resistance. Victor was also the one that stated the sales strategy was changed for this year. No season pass, the game would be continually updated, the exclusivity agreements for mainline DLC would be gone, and that microtransactions would be a good experience by comparison to recent years. He also broke the news that it would be cross-platform compatible, and he also was the one that stated that co-op would be a world of its own, which it seemingly was. At the very beginning of the game at its launch, we knew that Spec Ops was connected to say things like ground war, and so we knew that there was a world out there, but we also saw that that would then become Verdansk. The Warzone map, which is probably what he was describing, was a post-launch feature. And finally, the biggest thing, of course, out of all of this is that he revealed the official logo before it ever went public. So to me, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that his sources and what he has to say is definitely valid. Victor isn't just some guy who made up a Reddit account or a YouTube account or a Twitter account, whatever it is, a couple of days ago and is just looking for some attention with this and making stuff up on the spot. What he said in the past has checked out. His sources do seem to be legit. So why is he back in the air quote news for Call of Duty now? Well, he actually became active once again here in recent days, to which he had a little bit to say about Call of Duty 2020. Not Modern Warfare, but the upcoming installment here with this. Now, he has stated multiple times, and as evidenced by his tweets themselves, he is Chinese, and his information comes through somebody that he knows within the project, whether that be international PR, whether that be a developer that maybe is a friend that's working over on the project. We don't exactly know, but he ended up stating, "This account will not tell me about the new work of COD in the future. As a Chinese, I was a little disappointed to see the content of the COD 2020 campaign. The MP is played the same as MW. Now, that statement seems to be kind of all over the place, kind of weird, but it ended up spawning some discussion outside of this, to which another user, Daint08, ended up asking, what do you mean play the same like MW? Skill-based matchmaking, camping, big maps, leveling systems, slow and tactical gameplay? Then if that's the case, I'll find it hard to play that game for another year, to which Victor just replied MW 2.0, and we'll come back and break this down, but there also was other spawn discussions in which Revived Gamer asked, do you have any news on if they plan to reveal the campaign first and wait on the multiplayer? In which he said the first trailer is to promote the plot, which is in relation to the campaign. That's how it normally is, and that's how it usually has always gone. I think the only games that have kind of broke tradition with that are actually Black Ops 4, if my mind serves me correctly, obviously just though because there was no campaign with that. But actually kind of diverging a little bit here, talking about something that he mentioned even earlier than the tweets we're talking about here today. Back on the 21st, he ended up saying the plot description for the campaign is similar to the Black Ops series, which also then could indicate the strength and theory for Black Ops Cold War. He ended up saying the multiplayer is similar to this Call of Duty, and that Zombies has some new ways of playing. But that was then followed up with a question of how is the quality of the new work? Is it the same as or better than 16, which is Modern Warfare, or is it the return to the Black Ops cartoon style? To which Victor responded to that, nothing changed. But the curious part about all of this is that somebody named Kevin ended up asking about Zombies. How is it coming along? Also, will there be doors? Is it on the Modern Warfare engine? To which Victor just simply said their own engine, not Infinity Ward's. So this is just a whole treasure trove of confusion because there seems to be things that point one way and then seem to be things that point another. Breaking this down individually, talking about the Modern Warfare 2.0 comments, I think this might just be in relation to some of the gameplay overall. It wouldn't surprise me if we see that leveling system continue on like we see within Modern Warfare, which I hate to say because I love prestiging. It wouldn't surprise me if skill-based matchmaking continues on, which again, I hate to see because I put 10 years into a game to get good. I should be allowed to take a day off or so from trying my absolute hardest to win a simple public match. It wouldn't surprise me if the maps are bigger. We're trying to reach larger scale audiences, and with the success of Ground War, it wouldn't surprise me if that sort of thing continues on. But also in a more broader sense, I wouldn't be surprised if Modern Warfare 2.0 is in reference to some of the, what I would definitely say is net good for Call of Duty as a franchise. Things like crossplay is, even though it's annoying that there doesn't seem to be any sort of way to turn off crossplay or any real way to have input-based matchmaking on the modes that you may really enjoy. Bringing all main platforms together is definitely in and of itself a massive feat for Call of Duty. Free post-launch content DLC is something that is absolutely massive for Call of Duty. Customization in the ways of, say, the gunsmith and how that all works out, microtransactions and all those things alike, those definitely have been transformed into a positive, I think, for the Call of Duty franchise as a whole. So perhaps it's just in relation to those things, but it still doesn't really clarify a little bit of what else there is mentioned. The quality of work being stated that nothing has changed is interesting to me, unless they're kind of still taking the design route of maybe, say, a Sledgehammer game if Treyarch took it over. Maybe that design element and aspect still applies, to which it's more of a grittier game rather than just the more cartoony vibe that we usually get from the Black Ops titles as of recent years. Black Ops 4, Black Ops 3, and even Black Ops 2 were much more vibrant with color and the palettes used to shape the worlds of the Black Ops universe, but the original Black Ops was a little bit more grittier, so maybe it's that sort of thing. And of course, then the mention of their own engine, not Infinity Ward's, that seems pretty straightforward, though it definitely is interesting to see how that would work, especially if Warzone is going to be connected to Call of Duty 2020 while also being connected to Modern Warfare. Because if those two are different, would that affect gameplay at all, or is there any sort of crossover that just isn't being publicized? We'll have to wait and see how that all works out, but it's definitely some interesting stuff here that gets the mind going, and of course, with something likely being on the horizon, I'm interested to see where this goes here. I'm hoping that we see something sooner rather than later, just because at this point, I'm curious to see what happens as a result here. Actually, now, talking a little bit about something that I didn't really plan on, but now that my mind wanders over to it, I forget where I saw it, but I saw an interesting discussion that was the theory that maybe this is actually the latest release of a Call of Duty game potentially coming up as well. It would make sense in the way of not simply just limiting the amount of time you have to market the game after it's revealed, but also if you consider the fact that pending no delays, both next generation generation consoles for Xbox and PlayStation are set to go live this holiday season in December. So perhaps instead of an October or November release, maybe we end up seeing a later reveal because it's going to be a later release to be maybe a launch title with both of those games. That'd be interesting to see how that works out, but again, we're right around the corner here from all of that, but I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Victor definitely has had a fairly good track record in the past, so what do you take of these statements? What do you think of them? Is there anything in particular you'd like to pick out? Whatever it is, let me know your thoughts. But hopefully enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below, and of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, Warzone, and of course, Call of Duty 2020 content. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected with us on YouTube. I live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But that's that out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.